Good evening. My name is Louis Moten, and I live in the North River District. I won't say it. But anyway, over the past year, I've watched one short-term rental CUP after another come before the board. Some are approved, some are denied, and from the outside, the reasons often aren't clear. Each applicant spends money on plans, fees, inspections, engineering, and management proposals. And neighbors spend time preparing comments and attending hearings. Yet no one really knows what the deciding factors will be. The lack of clarity wastes everyone's time and money, and it leaves the public guessing. Our ordinance lays out the standards, harmony with a comprehensive plan, compatibility with neighbors, traffic impact, utility, safety, and so on, but these are broad concepts that can be interpreted differently from one application to the next. Without a consistent and transparent rubric, the process can feel unpredictable, and when the decision is unpredictable, it opens doors to concerns about favoritism or influence, and even if nothing improper is happening. I'm not accusing anyone. I'm pointing out that the perception exists, and perception matters. A clear rubric or a scoring guide would help applicants to understand what is expected, help neighbors understand what is considered, and help the board apply the standards consistently. It would also protect the future boards by giving them a steady framework to follow rather than relying on shifting interpretations. A simple, transparent rubric would build public trust, reduce frustration, and make the entire CUP process fairer, clearer, and more efficient for everyone involved. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Louis Moten, and I live in North River District. When we look at the CUP for short-term rental in Ridgeway Road, I think it's important to acknowledge how much the short-term rental industry has changed. The original spirit of Airbnb was closer to couch surfing, homeowners renting a separate room to make ends meet. It was about affordability, community, and using existing housing more efficiently. But that model has completely shifted. Today, most short-term rentals in Warren County are entire homes being used as full-time tourist lodging. These rentals often charge far more than hotels, add multiple layers of fees, and come with a long list of rules for guests, while still operating inside residential neighborhoods. Unlike hotels, there's no routine revenue verification, no occupancy tax transparency, and no clear way for public to understand how much income these properties generate or how they impact county resources. Meanwhile, the rise of full home short-term rentals has contributed to higher housing prices. Homes that once would have been available for local families are being purchased specifically for tourism revenue. That pushes residents out of the market, reshapes neighborhoods, and shifts our economy towards tourism at the expense of long-term stability. I'm not speaking against this application specifically. I'm asking the board to consider whether the increasing number of full property STRs is still in harmony with our comprehensive plan, our housing needs, and the character of our rural roads. The cumulative impact matters, and we need clear vision for how many of these properties our community can absorb before we unintentionally make Warren County less affordable for the very people who live and work here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moten.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
This is. I want to use this time to address what Mr. Moten just said about the seeming arbitrariness of this at times, or maybe always. This is just to bring up a point, and it is to make a note that we should revisit this. But this board got, and accepting Mr. Henry, on August 25th, a suggestion of a quantitative approach to this. Mr. Stanmeyer, who recently ran for office, gave a suggestion, and it is quantitative. It's much well, there's no way that all the subjectivity is going to be taken out of this, but it's a grid matrix type of approach, and I think that what Mr. Moten said, it has merit. Other people have brought this up countless times. We've had a work session when we've talked about this, but nothing seems to change. So I just want to revisit this and maybe have Mr. Gottschall put on the agenda to look for this email from the 25th and have that maybe be a starting point for actually continuing this discussion to some kind of change in the way we do things.
Mr. Moten, I just want to say that I do admire your wanting to participate. And I'm not saying this in jest or anything. I wish more people would do this. I truly do. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Louis Button. I live in the North River District. I'm going to go a little off because I've prepared everything, but I will say I did meet one of the applicants about a year ago when I started speaking in front of you, and I met them afterwards, and they did show me a lot of photographs of before and after. And I agree, a lot of these people are coming and improving Warren County, but they're improving it for people coming in and going quite a bit. They're not improving it for the people who want to come and stay here. I'm just trying to think what I actually do want to speak about here, because I had each one going on a different topic, but I was just starting to humorize maybe I should start my own short-term rental in my house or something, but I'm not going to go that route. But I know Zach often said he's seen people complain about one thing, and then a couple months later they're coming trying to do the same thing themselves. I do appreciate the Planning Committee's recommendation on the staff conditions on water testing, septic maintenance, and whatnot. I am trying to dig, and I'm trying to understand everything, and it's a fire hose, and I can't imagine what you guys are doing with, because there is so much. And I don't think many people realize once you get into the data how much there actually is. And it's a lot of time. So I can't see if I got time or not. Oh, I got it. Okay. They can be successful, but they do introduce a lot of moving parts. Guests who don't know the area, vehicles that aren't used to roll road conditions, and increased turnover that affects noise, parking, and safety. So to your matter of it's not going to increase traffic, it's going to have traffic that is not familiar with the area is the main thing. So somebody might get caught on a snowbank, and you're going to have to go up the road and find a farmer to get his tractor and to lend a hand, because that's the neighborly thing to do. Whereas your regular people who are familiar with the area, they know if they shouldn't drive or what conditions to expect. So there's a lot of changes and a lot of conditions that we need to meet with these short-term rentals. Thank you. Surprise. Hello, good evening. My name is Louis Moten, and I live in the North River District still. So if anybody's not familiar, these are like granny flats. I just spoke to the town about this last Monday, or the Monday before last, like 2 weeks ago, before I got sick and then recovered. This actually borders on a variance, because it looks like they're experiencing a hardship with some of the people they are actually helping. My only concern really with ADUs is it feels almost like a skirt around short-term rentals. In this case, it's much different. They've got somebody living there permanently. But there's a concern like, it's a 30-day minimum requirement, but it could be something like maybe somebody does want to stay longer than 30 days and pay for it. I don't really have much more about that, so I'm just talking off the top of my head right now with regarding what my thoughts are. And I will reserve the rest of my time for nothing. She beat me to it. Hello, my name is Louis Moten, and I live in the North River District. The main thing I was looking at here, I know you guys keep bringing up water and data centers, and they've come back many times with this proffer update. And the one thing they haven't mentioned at all is anything regarding data centers. So, they can hear you loud and clear, but they're just not going to do anything about water or data centers. I did see something about water, but it wasn't, anything about well water or limitations and whatnot. I'm not for or against this. I'm just saying, hey, this is what I see. So, I'm not. You can make your own decision. I'm not going to judge you for it, but yeah. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Louis Moten, and I live in the North River District. I'm going to miss you, buddy. Since this meeting is the last meeting of the current majority, I'd like to talk briefly about how green the grass is. Not literally, but as it relates to our public comment policy that was framed when it was first adopted on February 4th. So I'm talking about agenda items E and S. That evening, the second comment period was described as the place for comments like how green the grass is. While the first was limited strictly to agenda items, citizens were told that they could only speak once, and the policy even allowed the chair to call for a show of hands, something never used before or since. Combined with warnings of criminal penalties, the tone made the whole policy feel less like open government and more like the white walking on grass we weren't supposed to step on. We've seen the confusion this causes. On April 1st, I spoke in detail on agenda items and also about a related concern not printed on the agenda, something not obvious without background knowledge. Afterwards, I was reminded that only agenda topics could be addressed. It left me wondering, should I have waited until the end of the meeting just so I could speak to the whole field at once? A policy of focus on citizens to choose between two patches of the same lawn does not nurture a healthy public participation. Robert's rules cautions against arbitrary limitations that chill minority voices, and the First Amendment protects our rights to speak fully and meaningfully to our government. Tonight, any board member can move to revise the policy, allowing speakers to address both periods or moving general comments to earlier so participation isn't punished into the late hours. One simple motion could make the grass here greener for everyone. And briefly regarding the Second Amendment sanctuary reaffirmation, we saw in May that the Department of Homeland Security incorrectly labeled us as an immigration sanctuary jurisdiction, and our sheriff politely and quickly corrected it. With the political climate today, the term sanctuary is far more associated with immigration than firearms. Clear modern language, such as constitutional county or a simple definition, would prevent confusion and strengthen public trust. Thank you, and goodbye, buddy. I hope to see you around.
Thank you.
As to comments from Mr. Moten, the term sanctuary is a loaded term or might be misleading as it's usually used in relation to immigration. I understand that concern, and I do like the idea of a constitutional county, but this is language that's kind of been standardized across the state, and I think the unity that's contained in that declaration amongst multiple counties carries a weight of its own that I don't want to change.
Public comment period. And do we have anybody signed up?
No, sir.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Now, wait a minute. Don't disappoint me, Lewis.
He can't. He's disqualified.
Since this is my last act, Lewis, did you want to speak?
I don't even know what to speak about, but in case you go ahead.
Well, no, I'll tell you.
I'm Lewis Moten from the North River District.
Well, I'm just very serious. I wish that more citizens took the interest in the time like you do, because that's what our government is about. And
well, I've had
people will get up and they'll say things that just irritate me to no end, but you know what? It's their right to say it.
I've had the opportunity with the Chamber of Commerce to take their leadership program, and I learned quite a lot. And that kind of spawned me off into going into public office and learning from the BZA about a few things. And then I just completed the Sheriff's Office had their Citizen Academy.
Super.
And that's an excellent program. I learned a lot compared to what you normally see on the Internet, because, you know, everybody believes everything on the Internet. And now I hear that you guys are going to form a similar program for the county. I'd be interested in that, but it's like, I'd like to be an information sponge. I'm all about data. You know, usually I'm the one responding to RFPs, not actually analyzing them and just trying to figure out what's going on. So, and now I'm actually talking with Brad quite a bit and the finance admin, trying to figure out what's going on. And they've actually made some corrections. So it's like, I'm just trying to understand the fire hose of what you guys deal with, because I can understand it's very large. It's very big. I don't know how you did it. I mostly knew you from ribbon cuttings before I started coming up here. So It's a different thing seeing you here than out there.
Well, maybe, and this is just a suggestion, maybe you could be an advocate for other citizens to take as much interest as you do, because that is the real strength.
It takes a lot of work and a lot of analytical mindset
Yeah.
to actually dig at the real questions. And a few of you, I know, especially Dr. Jamieson, really gets into the details, into the why. And I don't think a lot of people have that drive. I definitely encourage it, but it takes a lot of time to wrap your mind around everything and have the opportunity or the freedom to say, okay, it's okay to make mistakes. Let's just figure it out. And then the other part is public speaking. Yeah. And coming here at first, I wasn't so great at it. I did some of the Toastmasters, but over time, I improved a little bit, although I listen to myself and I say really weird words sometimes. But I think my point gets across.
Well, thank you, Louis. We really appreciate it.
Time's up.